Why do you want to be executed?
I have to be. Because I will kill again.
Wesley Allen Dodd was killed by hanging. It's the method he asked for.
Wesley Allen Dodd's case is one of the most chilling and gruesome crime tales. Born July 3rd, 1961, Dodd was a convicted serial killer and sex offender from America. In 1989, Dodd sexually assaulted and killed 3 young boys, forever taking away their hopes and dreams. He was later arrested after a failed try to abduct a 6-year-old boy at a theater. The police also found a book where he wrote down all the details of his inhumane crimes. He admitted he did these awful deeds and was given the worst punishment, death. But the chilling part is that he chose not to ask for help, and on January 5th, 1993, he was put to sleep forever by hanging, a way of ending lives that hadn't been used for a long time. This is his harrowing story.
Do you look forward to dying?
In a way, yeah. I think it'd be a relief. I don't have to think about all these things anymore.
Dodd's life was troubled from the very start. He was born in Toppenish, Washington, and was the oldest of his siblings. His younger brother Gregory faced legal issues in 2016 related to a 13-year-old girl and attempted sexual abuse. During his time at school, Dodd experienced exclusion from social groups, which left him without any friends. These challenges were not the only ones Dodd was facing. His family environment was becoming increasingly toxic. As he grew up, the effects of his environment started to show.
I first started exposing myself when I was 13 years old.
At 13, he started exposing himself to the neighborhood children. However, his father kept ignoring it since he felt boys will be boys, and that his son was a well-behaved child who never had problems with drugs, drinking, or smoking. However, one event changed everything forever and scarred Dodd's mind for life. On his 15th birthday, his father had an argument with his mother, and he tried to kill himself. Imagine the weight of all of this on a 15-year-old, especially in an already toxic setting. Isn't it a lot for someone so young to handle?
My first contact with police came when I was 15.
By age 20, Dodd had already become a full-fledged criminal, yet his actions went largely unnoticed. In 1981, he tried to abduct 2 girls, who reported him to the police, but sadly, they took no action. The irony is that shortly afterward, he enlisted in the US Navy and was stationed at the submarine base in Bangor, Washington. Due to the police's failure to take action, he would continue his filthy actions and started abusing children living on the base. He kept on the same path until the Navy kicked him out. From that point onward, Wesley moved into a neighborhood, living across families and molesting preschoolers. Nobody pressed any charges.
I've had so many contacts with police and confessed to so many crimes and never been charged or charges was dropped.
In 1987, Dodd, a habitual molester and sex offender, tried to lure a young boy into a building. But this time, fate had other plans. The little boy was smart. He refused to go with him and informed the police. As a result, Dodd had to spend 5 years in prison. But again, his punishment was nothing compared to the countless crimes he had committed. Soon after his release, he moved to Vancouver. Dodd thought David Douglas Park in Vancouver would be an excellent spot to find victims, since the park had many trees and hidden paths. Meanwhile, his fantasies were becoming increasingly violent and dangerous.
2 young boys disappeared, riding their bikes in a Vancouver, Washington park. They were found later in the day, stabbed to death.
Later on in that very park, the bodies of 2 young boys were found, both sexually abused and murdered. He also abducted, molested, photographed, and killed an innocent little child named Lee Izeli. However, he was never caught. November 13th, 1989 was a seemingly ordinary day in Camas, but Dodd had a chilling plan brewing in his mind. He set his sights on the New Liberty Theater, a local spot where families gathered to enjoy movies. He sneaked into the theater's restroom and tried to abduct a 6-year-old little boy named James Kirk II. The little hero fought back, screaming and struggling in Dodd's grasp. The theater staff quickly sensed something was off and swiftly intervened. Dodd, now with a panic in his eyes, fled the scene, releasing young James. But this time, fate wasn't ready to go easy on him. The staff had notified William, James's mother's boyfriend, that the boy had nearly been abducted. He sprang into action, chasing after Dodd. Luckily, Dodd's car started having issues and couldn't start. William pretended to be a passerby and offered help. He intelligently overpowered Dodd and dragged him back to the theater. The police were called, and the wheels of justice started turning. Local police contacted the Portland Police Task Force regarding the Lee Ezeli kidnapping and murder. Dodd was interviewed by Lee detectives Jensen and Trimble, first at Camas Police Station and then at Clark County Jail over 3 days. Dodd eventually confessed to the murders. A search at Dodd's home revealed disturbing evidence, including a torture rack, clippings of his crimes, Ezeli's belongings, and his diary detailing the murders. Dodd was charged with multiple crimes and initially pleaded not guilty, later changing to guilty. During the trial, the prosecution read chilling excerpts from Dodd's diary, recounting the gruesome details of his crimes. The horrifying photographs of Lee Ezeli, his innocent victim, were also displayed. The defense's strategy, however, raised eyebrows. They called no witness and merely suggested that Dodd was insane. Prosecutors demanded the ultimate penalty, death, and the jury's agreement sealed his fate. He was sentenced to death for murdering the Neer brothers and raping and murdering Lee Ezeli. Dodd was given 2 options: death by lethal injection or hanging. He chose hanging because it reminded him of how he had killed his last victim, Ezeli.
Darrell Lee is getting tired of repeating his client's desire to be executed, but this is perhaps his most important audience.
Do you think he had any humanity left in him, or was this choice due to remorse? Dodd didn't want his case to be reviewed or the punishment of death to be changed. In a detailed interview, he said he couldn't stop himself from doing bad things, and would do them again.
Molesting kids nonstop since I was 13 years old, over half my life. Anything happened, I can guarantee I'd do it again.
He even said that if he ever escaped, he had someone in particular in mind to kill.
I'm gonna say who, but there is somebody out there. There's a man out there.
There's a man.
Yeah.
He even shamelessly wrote in a document to the court, "I must be executed before I have an opportunity to escape or kill someone else. If I do escape, I promise you I will kill and rape again, and I will enjoy every minute of it." This statement shook everyone to the core. It was as if the words were from the devil himself. He also mentioned in some interviews that dying would help him feel less guilty about the murders.
There's times I think about what I've done. I think about some of the things the boys said before they died, and that's real hard to think about.
During his trial, he made a booklet to help parents keep their children safe from people who harm kids like him. Dodd was hanged on January 5th, 1993. His autopsy reports revealed that he had a quick death, which wasn't very painful. Do you think a person like him deserves a quick, painless death, even after years of torturing souls? Does someone get to die that peacefully, or is there some other punishment waiting on the other side?